Hello, welcome to part 3 of the Ranking Bootcamp. We are very excited about part 3 because, let's be honest, part 1 and part 2 have really just been leading up or building up to what you're going to be doing in part 3. With me, well, actually, before I introduce who's with me, why don't I introduce myself? My name is Curtis Johnson. I am the president of Managed by Stats, and I am joined on my side over here by Mark Jepson, who is the COO, and then Rob Kaplan, who is the CEO. So we've got here a collection of decades of experience in successful PPC. So for anyone who's kind of not familiar with what we do, we'll cover a little bit more about PPC logic itself in the end, and then we will jump back. Before that, obviously, we're going to do Trifecta Part 3, and then at the end, we'll cover a little bit on who we are and what we do as PPC Logic. So again, I don't want to really steal the thunder from Mark and Rob, who are really going to give you the nuts and bolts, the value here. So I'm going to switch over to Mark and Rob.
Sounds good. Hey guys, so should we do a quick summary?
Well, before we do that, Curtis, were there questions left over? Because we didn't do the Q&A because we covered so many questions at the end of part 2.
If I see any, what we'll do is I'll just chime in at that point. But otherwise, why don't you? Yeah, let's do a recap really quick, and then dive into part 3.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we're talking about what we've kind of loosely called or coined as the trifecta. Basically, you want to have, if you want to do your PPC effectively, there's some things you need to have in place before you do that. And so we basically said, okay. There's 1, 2, and 3 parts of the trifecta. The first part is making sure that your listing is fully optimized in the sense of not just having good images or enhanced brand content or anything like that, but making sure that the keywords that are in your product are, your title, your bullet points, your description, your back-end search terms, making sure that content is filled with the most relevant and high search volume keywords. So you get some really good organic SEO from Amazon. And when you do that, you're going to be seeding your listing with all of the most important keywords. And then you can take those now and put them into the second point of the trifecta, which is seeing where you rank on those things and evaluating your ranking accordingly inside of a keyword tracker of sorts. So basically seeing where you rank on them, and then you can determine from that what things you need to do. If you are not showing up, you need to do some advertising on those keywords if they're relevant to your product. If you're showing up and you have very poor ranking, okay, maybe you need to advertise on those keywords and push on them a little bit, but there's different things you can do for where you're ranking on the different things. And then the final point is taking that knowledge that you've just gained from points 1 and points 2 and taking those keywords and putting them into your campaigns in a smart manner that's going to be both cost effective for you, but also help you push up the ranks on appropriate keywords. So we're diving into part 3 of that. Let's go and I think I'll share my screen now, and we'll go dive into the actual what we've been doing on this stuff. So let me just share my screen.
And while you're doing that, a couple of the takeaways are throughout this process, you now have a list of your top competitors. You have a list of your best SFR ranked keywords. You know the money keywords are where your competitors are making their money. And by now you've used that to build out your listing in the most efficient, highly optimized fashion. So those are the 3 main pillars. And now you're going to be we're still working off of, and that's why it was so critical at the beginning in choosing the proper competitors. Because if you chose the competitors wrong, you're already off track. And that's a huge mistake that a lot of people make. So if anybody has any questions on that, circle back to us. But now it's those very same competitors that we're going to be using now in building out the keyword product target marketing. And of course, the keyword list is going to be used now in this last part of the trifecta.
Awesome. Okay, yeah, so here as you can see, this is our initial research page where we put in a bunch of the competitors that were very relevant to our product. And we did our research, keyword research from here. Moved it over into our keyword tracker. So now I was tracking keywords before. So here you can see as of like a week ago, we added in some keywords that I was not tracking, was not thinking with from when I last did this process for this product. And there were some actually additional keywords that I found that I should be tracking and should hopefully be ranking for or try to rank for. So here you can see I have some long history on these other ones. And this one here started right here, so we know this is one of the new keywords I started tracking. So we can kind of go down and just look at this. We evaluated all this last webinar. So now we're going to look in here and take stuff based off of where we see ranking and actually build out some campaigns. So the first thing I'll want to look at is one thing that we were looking at just before we started this is we made an update to the listing. The main keyword we found was plastic tumblers. That was kind of a main thing that we should have in here, which we didn't even have at all. And now when we look at our ranking, let's go find plastic tumblers right here. So here we can see I've never been ranking for it, and now that I'm tracking it, I've been tracking it for the last 7 days. I'm not showing up at all. So this is a keyword that I'd probably want to make sure that I get shown up for and start moving up the ranks for. And if I don't currently have it in my PPC, I want to add it into my PPC. So that's the first thing we're going to show you here is plastic tumblers. I'm going to take this keyword and I'm going to build out our campaigns. This is kind of a best practice or a smart way to start. And I want to walk through this, trying to make it as clear as possible of how you do this. And then there's, of course, different strategies on the ways that you do it. But this is going to be a very simple explanation and showing you how to do it.
Now, are you going to start with driving plastic or still build out the auto and the other campaigns first?
I think we'll start with building out the auto, exact, and phrase.
Sure.
Go from there. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure I'm showing up for plastic tumblers, and right now I'm not. So I'm going to take plastic tumblers and I'm going to add it to these campaigns. And the thought process behind this is I'm going to create an auto campaign, a exact match campaign, and a phrase match campaign. And we'll talk about why I'm going to start with that.
And of course, the exact.
Yes, exactly. So we'll do create campaign here. I'm going to do a sponsored product. And we'll just do plastic tumblers auto. I'm going to give it a $10 daily budget. I'm going to keep it kind of small. I'll do automatic targeting. I'm going to click down only on this one because I want to make sure it's reined in and not kind of going wild.
And if you back up one sec, a lot of people have asked about this in the past. Dynamic bid is the safest. If you went with, people do ask about up and down, that's where you're allowing Amazon to make a decision if they think there's a probability that by raising your bid that you could capture a sale. And right now we don't recommend that. We feel that if anything, do down only. And with fixed bids, it's going to be more expensive, and that's used for only certain specific campaigns where you want to be very aggressive with a bid. But for now, we're going to be doing dynamic bids down only on all of these campaigns.
Perfect. And then I'm going to take the title here, and I'm going to use that for my ad group as well, just to keep it some consistency there. And I'll pick my product, so it's going to be this tumbler here. And just in case, I'll put my FBM in there as well. And we'll go all the way down here. All right, so 75 cents, it's kind of below the lowest suggested bid. So I'm gonna use the suggested on this one for now, and we'll see what we get. So I'll launch that campaign. All right. Okay, so we'll have that in there, and then create another campaign, and this one we're going to do a manual campaign.
Now with the auto, that's going to be your discovery campaign, and you can control the budget. So it's going to be a smaller budget that's always doing discovery and finding new keywords. And again, you're going to see in every one of these we can control the budget. In the manual campaigns, we'll be using a larger budget than the discovery.
Yep. I'm just going to do this as a test so we can see it easily in here. All right, so we're going to do keywords. We're not going to go after product targeting yet. We're going to go after an exact keyword here. So I'm going to enter the keyword I want, which is going to be this one here, plastic tumblers. and I'm going to make sure it's only exact. I'm going to add this keyword, and it's going to show me that I'm putting it in at suggested right now, which is 109. That's fine. We'll decide what we want to do on that later. Now, here's where there's a smart thing that you can do when you're building out your campaigns in this way, where you want to make sure that when you're targeting something, you don't want to have, well, in this case, we're doing exact match. So we're not going to negative match anything in here. But when I create the next campaign, we're going to use this area to.
Right. We use that on features. If you're going from the so to speak, from the lowest common denominator or the greatest common denominator and working our way through, we start with exact. Those are the top of the food chain. And then after that, we'll go, you already have auto, of course, for discovery, but you can have exact, and then there's phrase, there's broad, and product. And in our structure, we use auto because we believe it's got a larger reach than broad. So we're going to be setting up an exact campaign, a phrase campaign, and a product target marketing campaign. So right now, Mark just set up the exact campaign,
Yep.
and you don't need to negative exact because it is the exact match campaign. And now we could set up the phrase match.
Yep.
And then in the phrase match, that's where we'll use this negative box and set up the negative exact, and we'll explain how that works. But you're going to be looking for all phrase types that can be built around the keyword, and you negative exact match it so that you're not replicating what's being done in the exact match.
Yep. So we'll grab this again just to keep our structure in place. Whoops. Oh, just double pasting. There we go. All right. We'll add in our product again. And now we'll go to enter list. We're going to do plastic tumblers. And now we're just going to do phrase. So now we have a phrase match.
And then, of course, now you could exact match it.
Exactly. And the reason why you want to do that, like Rob was saying, is when you do plastic tumblers, and we're going to do negative exact, we now have the exact campaign is targeting plastic tumblers as the exact match, and you want your phrase match to find any other variations of that phrase that can get a conversion. So you're looking to see, okay, is there any other variations of this phrase that will get us some good conversions? And if so, you can then work on building those into your exact match campaigns.
Under add keywords, that may have some examples. If you just hit that for a sec, we could always turn that off.
Yeah, I added it here, plastic tumblers.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. I didn't know if it had others in there.
Yeah, it had a bunch of others that were suggested when I had the keyword there. But so let's just say that, launch campaign. So now we've built out our basic structure. Let's see if we can get these to show up. There's the test. Let's do plastic tumblers. All right, so we have the auto and the exact, and the phrase should appear here in a second. Let's see if we can get that to refresh. Almost. It'll take a second to pull up. But this is going to be the main kind of structure that you're going to start with. There's many different concepts of how to start with your campaigns, and obviously where the life cycle is for your product. If you have a product that is brand new and you're just launching it, you're probably not going to have a lot of good ranking on different keywords. So here you can see this product is definitely a seasoned product. It's been around for a while. It's got a lot of keywords that are on page 1 and a bunch that are on page 2, etc. So if you're starting off and you have a new product and you want to get exposure, you're going to be looking at, okay, the keyword research that you've done, all these primary keywords for your product. You could take those and put those into this campaign structure where you have these exact phrase match, exact match and phrase match campaigns. Now you're targeting those keywords and getting exposure on those keywords, and then adjusting them and massaging those as time goes on. And in our case, we want to also find any other keywords that might show up or that we're not thinking with or that we could get good conversions on. Maybe they're not going to be in those top 20 keywords, but we could get some conversions on that. And we also are reining this in by having a dedicated budget for this campaign.
Also, so you don't get caught up in the complexities when you're looking at the different keywords and the who, what, and how to do's here. There is a lot of different campaign structures. Different people teach in a variety of ways. We like having a campaign structure so that you can control the budget. You cannot control a budget in an ad group. You can control the keywords in an ad group. You can control what you're bidding on those keywords. However, the campaign is the top level where you can control the actual budget. So by having an auto campaign, we can control the amount of money that we're dedicating to discovery. And then that also goes for, of course, with exact, and that also is the same for our phrase. So you see these three here. As time goes on, part of your maintenance is you're looking at your daily budgets. When you think that you want to bring in more discovery, you can enhance and raise the budget on the auto. You also have the ability to fine-tune your exact and phrase match. If one is doing way better than the other, you could raise or lower the daily budgets, which again, Amazon's estimating daily, but it comes out to the daily and that number times for the full month.
Yep. Perfect. Okay, so that's kind of the basic structure to think with. Now let's go back to the trifecta thought process, right? So we've found our keywords, we tracked them, and now we're going to go, okay, we want to actually push ranking on some of these keywords. So the first example of that is, okay, plastic tumblers, we want to show up for it. We're not even showing up for it. I'm not going to go super aggressive on plastic tumblers. I'm not going to bid, 20% above the top suggested bid or anything like that, because right now I might not rank really well I might not convert really well for it. Right? So if I'm bidding on it super aggressively, I could be wasting a lot of money trying to push myself up the ranking on that. Hopefully, when I start my ads, I'll start showing up on the radar and move up the rankings really fast.
We did note in the earlier session that there's two phases here when you're analyzing the keywords.
Yep.
When the original cluster of keywords and the really strong SFR keywords was used on the product page for optimization. That's why plastic tumblers is in the first position. It's an excellent keyword with a great SFR ranking. However, that group, although used for optimization, those are not the keywords we're going to use originally in aggressive PPC campaigns. You set up your generic structure like we just showed, but then for your ranking, where you're going to aggressively start pushing keywords to the first page, you want to start to own and dominate the SFRs that are less competitive. And if you own the less competitive keywords, you'll start ranking on the better keywords at the top. So we're going to go down this list here, and we're going to move down to closer to 100,000 plus in the keywords. Mm-hmm. And we want to strategically find keywords that are easier to rank for. So while those campaigns that we just set up would have many keywords in them and they're doing the heavy lifting and they're trying to do the regular ranking based on the optimization of your listing, we're now going to find keywords way down the list. So we started to look for which keywords would be strategic, that would be good keywords to rank for. And if we scroll down here, I think we found plastic wine and then plastic glasses. Did we look at
plastic
dishwashers?
Glasses.
Plastic, yeah, that one right there.
So this one here, plastic glasses, drinking, dishwasher, safe. So it's a very long tail keyword. You can see it's above 100,000 itself, and I've got page 2 pretty much consistently page 2 ranking. I had a little bit of page 1 before.
Been up and down a little.
Yeah, a bit up and down, but not bad, right?
But let's also show them. Let's look at the philosophy. Why are we choosing this one? Well, if you notice, it's a long tail. It's ranked at over 100,000. So therefore, it is still viable, but it is less competitive, easier to rank for. But what makes it unique? It has plastic glasses in its root. So we know that if we could take this less competitive keyword and aggressively go after it and put it on page 1, we're going to be lifting plastic glasses without going into the aggressive market right now and competing with an expensive keyword.
Exactly. And so you can see here, we're already ranking somewhat on plastic glasses, but doing a dedicated campaign to plastic glasses specifically as an exact match keyword, pushing, you know, a really high bid on it, that could be expensive. There's probably other people who are also doing aggressive PPC on it. And so we'd be fighting with a really high cost per click, basically. A lot of other people bidding really high on this keyword, most likely. So instead of doing that, which can be money consuming,
and take longer.
And could take longer, exactly. We then go down, okay, look at this. We have plastic glasses, drinking, dishwasher safe. We can take this keyword and target this specifically, push on this aggressively, and as we do this, since plastic glasses is part of this phrase, it's gonna move us up the rankings on this keyword here. So let's go ahead and go do that right now. So let's
grab that and create a ranking campaign.
Exactly. So let's take this big keyword here. We'll go into our campaigns and let's create a new campaign. So this is our ranking campaign.
We're going to actually make this campaign a dedicated ranking campaign. We'll put a strong budget in there, and we're not going to really be concerned with the ACoS of how this is performing as far as percentages go, which is your cost of the sale. We're going to look at the budget. We're going to set a budget and determine how much money are we willing to invest to drive this keyword to page 1. And then we're also, because we want to be budget-centric and not ACoS or bid-centric, we're going to bid very high. We're going to be very aggressive with this because, again, our objective is to get daily clicks and conversions, because the more daily clicks and conversions, the faster it'll move to page 1.
Yep. Put that in there.
Yeah, hit that twice.
Yep.
And then
we'll do exact, because we're going to go after this exact keyword.
Always use exact in your ranking campaigns.
So you can see here, the suggested is 110, the minimum is 74 cents, and the max is 145. So I'm going to put, I think, I don't know, $2.75, $3.
I would say we close to, yeah, exactly. I would usually double or right around this. That would be about a $2.75 to $3, $2.90.
No, I'll just do $3. I don't care, again, like you just said, I don't care how the ACoS is. I know that I have some ranking for it. I know that I'm pushing aggressively on it, and that's what I want to do. So in this one, I'm not going to put any negative action in here because I'm just going after that exact phrase. So that's that. And now we'll launch that. And now with this campaign, we know that when we're going to give this 5, 7, 10 days, we can see how it's actually going to do on our ranking here, and we can watch it. We can say, okay, is my ranking, for the first couple days, yeah, my ranking might go down a little bit. We're pushing hard on it. We might get some bad conversions, but hopefully we start to get more better conversions, and our ranking should go up. So I'd want to look at that, as like a 5-day kind of view. I wouldn't want to look at it on a 1 or 2 day thing.
Yeah, you got to get at least 5,
Yep.
5. And then also, one of the things on the bid is because we went as high as we did, even though it's a lesser competitive keyword, could you see the impact? That's already, we're up to $3 bid. Can you imagine if we were going after something that was under 100,000? So that's the concept here. You want to spend as little money as possible, and yet, as you could see, this still is forcing a $3 bid. So we may go in to the daily budget on that and figure that we want to get at least 5 clicks a day minimum. So we may want to move that up to about between $15 and $20. Take a look at where we. Did that come through yet?
Yeah, so I left it at 25, but we could either make that higher or lower depending on what we wanted to do.
On the rank, for the rank. Yeah, I'd leave it at 25. So there's plenty of room there. And then, of course, you could watch it. You don't have to let it run, for more than a week to 10 days, and you keep watching it to see how is it performing. If it's moving, then you are, of course, going to let it sit where it is. If you ever do this and you see that it's never moving, sometimes a word is so competitive that you're just not going to get it to move. And then you have to make the decision whether to keep spending more money or to cut bait and move to another keyword. But once you're over 100,000, as far as the SFR goes, you should be able to move these keywords. So we'll set up this budget. We'll let it run for several days, and we'll keep our eye on it, adjusting it daily if need be.
So there we can see our little campaign structure. So we have our 4 campaigns now, auto, exact, phrase, and now this is our ranking campaign. And we can then adjust these, like he just said, adjust them accordingly. And then another thing we wanted to talk about is we don't necessarily have to only start with one keyword. We can look at if you have other keywords that have plastic glasses in it that you want to also push on. And if you, let's say you start this off and you wait, 5 to 7 days, and you see that your campaign is not spending that $25, it's only spending $12 or $15, you have some room in your budget.
You could add another keyword.
You can add another keyword. So in this case, we could look at, okay.
And of course, you could always raise the budget too.
Exactly. So this one is kind of similar, plastic glassware. I'm already ranking really well for that, so I don't necessarily want to push on that. Let's see, what else do we have here? Plastic glasses drinking. So this is another one. This one I jumped up on my ranking, looks like a little bit ago, probably a couple months ago.
And that's a higher SFR, so that should be a little less competitive too.
Right.
And again, you could raise the budget if need be, or you could see that there's room in the budget and add another keyword or a combination of those. And sometimes you may want to have the confidence, especially those of you that are new in this and designing ranking campaigns, you may want to put in one keyword, give it a few days, see, wow, yeah, no, it's going well, you feel good about it, you can start adding more keywords, because of the example that we're giving is one keyword. The concept is you want to get eventually 5, 10 or more of the lesser competitive, higher SFR keywords to page 1. And if you dominate and control those keywords, you'll end up controlling those at the top.
Perfect. So I think this is a good place to pause. Let's see if there's any questions. I know there's been a couple people who've been asking questions or raising their hands. So let's see if there's anything there that we can address, and then go from there. Okay.
Is there anything there, Danon?
We can just do a quick review.
Oh, no, we do have one here. Why don't you unmic and then or unmute, and then just ask them. You guys won't be able to see Danon, but you'll hear him. Give him the question.
Howard asks, for the ranking campaign, is there a max number of keywords you would include?
So I think.
Well, yeah, the couple of critical things that we want to make sure of, that because we added 1, so you didn't see what happens when you add 2, 3, or 4. Why don't we take the second keyword so at least they see structure, and that's the beginning of answering this question. So let's grab another keyword so you see how we would address this as far as structure. You always want to make sure that you're not diluting the budget. So the first concept we're going to look at is maintenance and maintaining the budget, and how do you allocate money. So if you put in $25 a day and you give it a few days and you see you're not spending all the money, then by all means, there's enough room there. If you add another keyword, you're going to be diluting your effort.
Yep.
Because it could only spend so much on one keyword because now it's got the other in there with it. So if you add a second keyword, logic's going to dictate, of course, you have to increase the budget. However, if you put in, let's say, $25, and after a couple of days you see, wow, its daily spend is, let's say, 12, and there's enough room in there, well, then you could not raise the budget and easily add another keyword. And why don't we dive in and show how we would do that? We would create another ad group, and we'd always only have one keyword per ad group in the ranking campaign. So we're still in the ranking campaign. So we're teaching this campaign to do high bids efficiently, and it's going to be very homogeneous, that it's always going to be used for ranking. And we're going to segment the keywords by ad group. Every ad group will have one keyword. So yes, to answer Howard's question, maintain the budget by making sure you don't over dilute it. Make sure there's enough money in the budget by seeing what the spend is per day. And then add keywords by adding ad groups, putting one keyword in an ad group only.
So in this case, we have suggested 83, low is 70, high is 110. So if I wanted to push really hard on this, I'd say let's put 225.
Yep, exactly. That's what I say, 2.25, and we're good to go. And there's your second keyword.
Good.
Any other questions?
We do have one more question there, right, Danon?
We do. So Claudia has asked, if we are bidding high on the lower ranking keywords, 100,000 rank, for instance, in order to boost the higher ranking keywords, why not just bid high on the better ranking keywords, cut the middleman, and boost them with a strong budget?
Yeah, so that is definitely a way to go. It just depends. So there's different thought processes on how to do it, and of course everyone's business is different, and everyone's product is different. So if you have the money to burn to push yourself up the rankings, that's a smart thing to do. If I had money to burn and I wanted to just go, hey, I should be ranking for plastic tumblers. I'm not. I'm going to spend, a good $1,000 this month on just that one keyword. I would do it. That would be my prerogative.
But it doesn't always work that way.
Right.
So you got to keep in mind that you may think that, but it's not a direct relationship like, oh, I could just spend a little bit more money and just leapfrog up the ladder. You may go to try to leap up the ladder and find that you spend $10 a day, $25 a day, $50 a day, and before you know it, you're getting deeper and deeper where you're not ranking and it's not moving, because you have to realize as you go from 100,000 down to 20, 25,000, or even 10, 12,000, like some of these here, they are extremely competitive with thousands upon thousands of other products competing for those words. And your bid is going to be way more expensive. It's going to be more expensive daily. It's going to be more expensive for the bid, but it's also going to take longer. And at the end of the day, you may not have success. Whereas when you own and dominate the other keywords, they are easier to rank for, faster to rank for, and you want to dominate and control multiple keywords, not just one. So it's a more effective process.
Yep. And a good point on that is, this is why you do the other points of the trifecta, because I could just say, oh, I know this is an important keyword and I should start bidding on it. But if I'm not showing up anywhere, my ranking is beyond page 20. That means that Amazon doesn't see that I'm relevant. Customers don't see that I'm relevant. Okay, granted, I just put this keyword into my product, so there might be some.
But go deeper on that. Explain what you just said, that
so
you're building relevance.
Exactly. So the thing is, if you actually have some ranking here, you're actually showing up on page 7, page 8, whatever it is, the best ranking that you're showing up for, you're going to have a better cost per click. And your conversion rate is going to be better because Amazon sees you're relevant. Customers will start to see that you're relevant, and they will click your product. When you bid on that keyword, they'll click your product and then buy your product. If you just go and bid super aggressively on plastic tumblers, you might not convert. I might not convert for whatever reason for that product, and my conversion rate will get worse and worse and worse and worse. And Amazon's going to see that. So they're going to say, this guy is willing to spend money, but he's not converting. So his cost per click is going to be higher and higher and higher. It's kind of a dwindling spiral where you're going to keep pushing yourself into the mud. So it's smarter. Granted, if you have the money to burn, okay, but it's smarter to go, okay, what do I actually have some ranking on? You let it run for a couple days, you see that you show up on page 3 or page 7, whatever the best thing is that you're showing up for, okay, let's go after that longer tail keyword first, bid on that. Hopefully that longer tail keyword has a short tail one that has some good SFR. You find stuff like that. Bid on these other ones, get some ranking on these other ones, get up onto page 1 on these other ones that are not so competitive, and you'll find almost as the sun rises each day that your ranking will start to improve on this over time, and you'll start to get better and better. And there's just so many other factors that play into that whole ranking process.
The other thing that is not being considered when somebody asks that question, and they got to realize, is it's not like you're just throwing these keywords in the garbage. It's awesome to rank for keywords, even from 100,000 to 500,000, because if you're ranking for them, you're getting sales for these keywords. The more keywords that you rank for, you're building an arsenal of, even though they have lowest search, they're still excellent keywords, or they wouldn't be listed under the $1 million search. And you're actually racking up keyword after keyword after keyword that you're going to be making sales on. So granted, they may be lower search, lower sales per week, but if you have 5 or 10 of them, you actually may exceed ranking for a higher keyword. Right. So again, all avenues point to this is the best practice, and these are the way you want to rank.
Awesome.
Great. Okay, cool. And then that's all the questions we have for right now. But I do want to urge anyone who does have a question to ask, go ahead and click on the Q&A section and then click on Ask Question and type your questions in there. Now's the time where we're gonna start taking questions, and so we'll leave a little bit of time to handle that, and then we'll go ahead and go over to Curtis.
Well, now I think that you guys still have a good chunk still remaining on.
We've kind of covered the chunk, the majority of it.
Okay.
Yep.
Are there any other points there that you do want to cover?
Just basic logic that you now have campaigns set up. Each campaign has its job to do, and you can control the budget for each of the campaigns. So then it's just really applying a lot of common sense. If you see that your discovery campaign is discovering keywords, you're getting clicks, and that your ACoS and your performance is really, really good, then some products find that easier than others. If that's the case, you can increase the budget. Because remember, once you know your margins and you know what your ACoS should be, you know that if you're doing better than break even and transactionally it's making you money, and the more clicks within the reasonable ACoS range, the better your ranking, then you could little by little increase the budget for that campaign. And then of course you could rinse and repeat. You do this for each campaign over time. Now we're not going to get into the maintenance of all the search terms and the deeper granular maintenance, but the money management is very logical. Spend money where you're making money and pull back a little bit where you're not. So in your product marketing, which is the next thing we'll cover, by the way, which will be the last piece of this. Sometimes it will do well over time, and sometimes it's very aggressive. You're competing and you're sniping at your competition. You may not convert as well. It's going to be more expensive. It's valuable. It makes sense. You want to be on those pages, but you have to watch it carefully. If it's getting too costly, you lower the budget. And the rest of that is just, again, applying basic business common sense. But that's the last piece we probably should build out, is also show them how we would add, because we've got the discovery, which is phrase and auto, and we've got our exact and our ranking. And then, of course, for target marketing, we would aggressively be going after the competitors.
Yep. Good. I think we have a question that came in.
Yeah, I think we have one more question. Damon, why don't you hit us with that question really quick?
Yeah, so Jim asks, from a practical perspective, how many ASINs can one person reasonably expect to tackle using the Trifecta process?
Yeah.
I say this because I manage an Amazon account with many wholesale type products and a few private label.
Very smart question. So, I guess that also speaks to what kind of person are you? So data nerds like myself we could probably tackle, 25, 50 products managing like that. There's some bulk actions that you can do. It's tedious, it's time consuming. I would spend probably anywhere between 3 to 4 hours each week doing that. So that was, a good portion of my time taken out of that. So if you're not a data nerd and it's, all those numbers is not your kind of forte, I'd probably say, between, if you get more than 5 products, it's probably going to be
full-time job.
A full-time job. You're just going to be like, holy moly. So, you definitely want to look at other things that can help automate this or help make it a lot faster to duplicate and understand or parse the data faster. But doing it yourself when you're first getting started, so for newer sellers, you have one product, great. Learn all this yourself, learn all the ins and outs of it, do it yourself. That way when you find either a software that helps you on it, or you go with an agency or an AI of something, you know what it is that they're doing and you know what should be being done. You can look at it and go, okay, this makes sense. You can understand the numbers.
So also, guys, let's be honest here. This is a PPC Logic managed by Stats webinar. So our ability and willingness to shamelessly plug PPC Logic as the solution to that problem is pretty apparent. Yeah. But you also have to look at it this way. We have many clients, I would say, that are doing multiple 7 figures that can do this work themselves. But there's a couple factors. One, kind of the point that Mark's making is extremely tedious. One. Two, it does become inefficient at a certain point if you get too many products. Two. And then three, the other factor of this is you can only, like, I guess you could technically hire an unlimited number of VAs if you had an unlimited number of products.
That's the path that many go. I mean, the answer to the question is that this is, we didn't get into the whole story here in this series, but this is how PPC Logic was created, because as we went from 5 to 10 to 20 and eventually went beyond 100 ASINs, we realized that it's humanly impossible. You cannot apply best practice once you're over 20, 25. You're going to have to teach and train and hire staff and or use software or an agency, as Mark was saying, or you're just not going to do it right. You can't do what needs to be done on a daily basis. Yeah. If you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ASINs, oh sure, absolutely. But once you go beyond that, you're going to need a dedicated person and then eventually a dedicated team, or you're going to need someone like PPC Logic, where we have advanced AI tools with hands-on management and a staff to run and maintain and do everything that we teach.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we also have one other question there. But actually, you know what, before we jump to that, kind of a real life example of that is I'm in the middle of chatting with a friend who has a very, like, one of the largest brands that Managed by Stats even manages, like, or has as a customer.
And we have a lot.
Yeah, we have a lot. And he's literally talking about the fact that because he has so many SKUs and so many ASIN, he's just at a point where it's just not really viable, and he needs a solution like that. So that's kind of like, just to wrap up that point, is that is a problem that brands have at the large size, and then at the smaller size, save yourself the trouble and just do what the big players are doing. Now, I know, Danon, you have another question in there, right? So do you want to bring up that question before we dive into anything else?
Yep, no problem. So Howard has asked, once you rank to upper page 1 in the ranking campaign, do you then move that keyword to the exact match campaign and lower the budget, or do you wait a bit longer?
That's a great question.
Great question.
So yeah,
Yep.
so that kind of goes into the maintenance section. But yeah, you want, once you have that keyword ranking, you'll see that your cost per click, if you kind of do the deep dive into your Managed by Stats account, if you look at the graphs for that exact product, you'll see that your cost per click, or if you look at it in Seller Central, it's going to be going down and down and down and down, because you're more and more relevant. You're getting better ranking. You're getting more and more sales. So you're bidding $3, but you actually only get charged $250, and then you actually only get charged $190, and then you actually only get charged, you know, the $145 that we saw was the highest bid, right? So your cost per click is just going to go down and down and down. So now you can go, okay, I don't need to be bidding $3 on it now that I'm, you know, below spot 15, right? And you can go, okay, great. Let's take that keyword, put it over into my exact campaign, right? Instead of in the ranking campaign, and now pick another word. And of course, you're going to reevaluate at that time your keyword ranking and go, okay, good. Which one is the next one to go after?
Now,
Just a quick note on maintenance on that, because we weren't going to get into maintenance today, but since Howard's asking, there's a critical point on the maintenance. So that you don't just take certain things for granted. Just to go a little deeper on that.
Yeah.
So you have your exact match running in ranking. You're now on page 1, like Howard asked, and the bid was, what was that bid? $3. So you now want to start lowering the bid, because you're on page 1, and what you don't want to do is this careful jump. You don't want to go from $3 to the suggested bid of $1.40 and just jump over there, because then it'll crash. You were in the game, you're in the sandbox, you're competing strongly. So what you want to look at is, like Mark was saying, there's some nuances there. You're bidding $3, but what was Amazon actually charging you? So you had a ceiling of a $3 bid, you're winning the bid, but you may have been winning the bid at $1.90 or maybe at $2.20. You want to see, where is the bid? So you want to look at your actual cost per click in that ad group at that point in time. Mm-hmm. Then you want to drop it by approximately 10 to 15%, and then make sure it holds. Because again, you're lowering the bid, and it should hold because now you're on page 1, and everything else that Mark said comes into play. You're winning the bid, you're more efficient, and little by little you could get that bid down, and you want to move it towards its suggested bid price while it's still in the ranking campaign, making sure it's holding its own, so that, let's say it's not, you could raise the bid back up a little.
Yep.
And you want to stay competitive. As soon as you see, wow, it's staying in the ranking and it's competitive, here's what should happen. Remember, you are paying to play. You drove that word to page 1, and it's ranking. Well, now there's an organic layer that starts to come in, and you're getting sales from organic because you are ranking. So now the amount of sales per day goes up, and that's why your performance is better, efficiency is better, and you should be able to, in increments of 10, 15% at a time, lower the bid while keeping it in the ad group in the ranking campaign. Once it's achieved the suggested bid, then you can move it to the exact match in your normal campaign, and I would then raise the bid on the ranking to $1.60, and at $1.40, it's exact match in your regular campaign. What'll happen then is you should be able to turn off the ranking campaign after a day or so, and the exact match should be picking it up in your normal everyday campaign.
Yep, and that way you're not also I don't know what a good analogy is, but you're already showing on, let's say, position 9, very close to the top of page 1, and you have your ad showing. So your ad's going to be, at the very top of the page, and then your product is going to be at the very top of the page. You don't want to necessarily be stealing your organic traffic. If you can get an organic sale, awesome. So that's why you do that gradual, moving that price down gradually, so that you're not removing your ad from page 1, and you don't also then steal that organic traffic that you could be getting.
Now, quick question: do we, because we're kind of in the Q&A section at this point, right? Or we do have one more thing we want to.
We have one other piece that we're going to layer on top of this, but we wanted to
and we're going to
clear
show
out.
It, right?
Yeah, we just wanted to clear out some of these
perfect.
questions.
So, and one thing that I'm seeing on this point is and you guys can kind of tell me your 2 cents on this, but there is, and it's not the case with everyone, but there's a lot of sellers that I've talked to where sometimes they almost have this emotional feeling like they're fighting Amazon, which I'm just bringing this up because it has come up a lot. But the way you have to look at this, Danon's laughing. I can't imagine why Danon's laughing. But there is that tendency to feel that way. But especially when we're talking advertising, organic ranking, Amazon is going to push up someone who they feel they're going to make more money on. Right. Like Amazon is your biggest teammate, the best teammate you could ever ask for if you give Amazon what they want. And that's why, because it's sort of like this, they're going to kick up the cost for a bid on advertising side if they don't think that the product's relevant. If it doesn't move in terms of traffic, they're going to charge you more to actually give you that ad space. So if you're doing well and you're converting for them, they're not going to charge you as much. That's why you can start bringing that ad down.
That's right.
Back me up if that's right, or if there's
exactly
any.
Right.
Yeah,
you got it.
All right.
Yeah, that's the
so
exact point.
Did that answer Howard's question?
I believe so. We have one more question. Do we want to take it up?
Sure.
Before?
There's just one more.
Sure.
All right. So we'll hold questions
after that
until you guys are actually done. All right. So Marcella would like to know. So just to review, in ranking campaigns, it's 1 keyword per ad set, but 1 ranking campaign.
We're setting up 1 ranking campaign. So in the ranking campaign, we're controlling the budget. And then we're going to have numerous ad groups in that campaign with 1 keyword per ad group where we're controlling the bid. Now, let's say you get to where you have 5, 10 ad groups. Each one has a keyword. It would not be wrong if you wanted to set up another ranking campaign, but you'd have to have quite a few ad groups before you really need to consider that. There really wouldn't be a reason for that unless you were layering it for some reason and had different budgets and different campaigns, and it gets a little bit more sophisticated structure. But a simple and correct and best practice would be have a ranking campaign with whatever money you're willing to invest in ranking, and then 1 keyword per ad group in the ranking campaign.
Yep. And if you wanted to do this for other products, of course, then you'd have a new ranking campaign, which would be for that other product, for that other keyword, those other keywords that were applicable to that other product. But for one product, yeah, I mean, if you have money to burn, okay, you can set up 10 ad groups inside of that one ranking campaign and be pushing super aggressively on 10 keywords. If you don't, okay, start with one, work out whatever budget you have and go from there. And this is a scalable system. So when you're building this out, you can then do this for every single one of your products. You can do it for 1 or 10 keywords in there because you have each one separated out by ad group. And when you're analyzing this, when you're doing your monthly analysis or every week analysis, whatever you like to do, you can see the performance very easily with this structure. And yeah, it's just very scalable.
And one point that Mark just made, just to make sure you understand that, because the campaign is per ASIN, you would have one ranking campaign for a particular product. So let's say you have a product and its overall performance is excellent. Great ACoS, great performance, but you want it to be even better. Well, you could afford maybe to spend more because that product, again, is doing so well. Whereas then you may have another product that you want to nurture along the way, add some maintenance to it, and you're not ready to spend a lot of money on it, but you want to start kind of pulling it along. You could start maybe with one ad group, one keyword in a product, whereas another campaign could have 10 keywords, 10 ad groups where you're aggressively spending more money. Yep. So again, it's all about money management and just using good business common sense on where you're going to spend your money.
Okay, so we've got a few more questions coming in, but we're going to hold the answers until we've completed here.
Yeah, I just want to do the layering where we now show how we use the competitive list that we built, and then we can go back to that. So at least this way we've built out the whole structure of the ad groups and campaigns.
Yeah, and it's funny, Rob, you said one thing there that was really, there was almost a nuanced view, but then the broader view, because I think sometimes people, like a lot of these questions that we're seeing are like, well, why don't I just throw everything at my PPC? But sometimes the thing that kills PPC the most is if you're not practicing good business principles and you don't have money, let's say, for your next inventory order. Right. You just killed every gain that you just got by throwing all of your PPC money at it. So sometimes it's like, you mentioned that point of sound business practice, and that's really one of those things where you have to keep in mind how much money you actually have to throw at this thing.
Yep. Okay, awesome. So let's go look at this this initial analysis we did. So I threw in all of these competitor products as relevant ones to go after. So we can pick from these, but what we want to do is maybe we can do this in a little bit kind of fresh view. So if we go here and we just do let's say plastic tumblers. Let's do a new search here.
And just to have an end goal, we used a very broad, we did a dozen, I think there were 12 in there, so that we really get a good scraping of our keywords and analysis and see at every level, which having 12 certainly does that. But now, it goes back to what Curtis was just saying. You want to control your money and spend it wisely, and you want to start doing product marketing. So these are going to be the competitors that you basically want to snipe at. You basically want to bid on their page to show up when somebody searches for them. And whenever you do that kind of marketing, it's always going to be a little more expensive cost per click. So what you want to do is you want to control money, and it is nuanced, but there's the money management and the management of just proper business common sense. You don't want to load 10 competitors in there. It's going to be very expensive, or the dozen. So now what we're going to do is pick out the 2 or 3 that you think are worthy of competing with, but that aren't too competitive. So just like your keywords, you want to start with competitors that you can start with. So you may not want the guys at the very, very top of the page. You want to start going after people that are on page 1, but that are easier prey. So out of the best 20 guys on the page, you may want to start with number 19 and 20, if that makes sense. You want to be middle of the page because that's who you want to compete with. You want to shoot to get on page 1, not jump to the top right away. That could be too expensive, and it goes back to money management.
Yep. So looking over these products, there's a lot of products that are a little bit slightly different than our product itself. So that's probably why we're not getting too much rank on this. But we can see this one here. This one is a similar product to ours.
That one looks good.
Yep, it's very far down the page. Well, not very far, but almost down to the bottom. Just scroll down again so you can kind of see.
Right
Okay.
about there, just like the middle of the page. But they have excellent amount of reviews. They're definitely a worthy competitor.
Yep. Now they are lower priced than me, but I can see if I can snipe from these guys. Let's see if there's anyone else that I want to target here.
Those are all taller. They're not really the
Yeah.
same kind of products.
Yep. So here's a wine one, unbreakable plastic stemless wine glasses. So I can target wine glasses because it's wine and whiskey can kind of go with each other. So this could be something that I might want to go after. He's 35, so I'm a little bit under him. So let's grab this one.
That's also another point Mark just made, a little bit nuanced. When you go after a competitor, again, going back to practicality and common sense, if someone's got 200-300 reviews or more, and you're priced at 30 and they're at 15, don't go and pick a fight with somebody who's bigger than you, stronger than you, and better priced than you.
Yeah.
Add a little common sense here. You want to start with the lower hanging fruit and the easier prey. So like Mark pointed out, this guy's at 35, he's more expensive. So yeah, right away we've got an edge. Let's go after that guy.
Yep. And this one here is probably not necessarily a good one. It's definitely a cheaper product. They got 460 ratings. Our product here has got 360. We are going to be coming at a higher price. So if I decided to go after this guy, I could see that my conversion rate and my ACOS
Probably gonna
on
be
this
lower.
is probably not
Yeah.
going to be too good. Whereas this guy, I might get some good conversions off it because they go, oh, lower price than this one. Sure, I was looking for wine, but I realized, hey, I can get some whiskey ones as well, or whatever. So let's look a few others here.
Well, some people just want to drink. They don't care what it's in.
Exactly. So here's another one. This guy is a little bit lower than price than us, $22.99. This is $29. Let's see what else we got here.
That's it.
That's basically it.
And those are all sponsored. So
Yeah.
that other guy may have made sense as well.
Yeah, exactly. Now, one thing we could do is let's change up our keyword here. So cocktail.
Let's try cocktail whiskey or bourbon. I think you'll get the different size glasses.
There we go.
There you go.
So these ones are also ones we should consider, right? So we got 29 on this guy. He's got 3,000 reviews. So similar price, but we could go after him. He's kind of high, so let's go down a little bit lower.
Now, are those glass though? Because I don't think, did you put in plastic?
I did not. So yeah, these are probably glass.
Yeah, a lot of these look like they're
Now
glass.
the thing is, and this is where your marketing intelligence needs to come into play, or you need to learn some marketing intelligence on this, right? So people could be looking for glass, but if they see a product that looks like glass,
Or they could be looking for glasses,
right?
which could be plastic and or glass.
Exactly. So this is where, for me, my marketing, I don't mind targeting people who are glass because they could go, oh yeah, I want glass, but I can get these ones. They look awesome, and I'll put them on my patio, or I'll put them by the pool. And these will be the ones that are unbreakable, so I don't keep breaking glasses.
And I would say that maybe you want one of those. So for all those reasons, I would pick that guy. However, I would change the keyword and let's go after some also very specific whiskey, because there'll be the squatter glass, the smaller, the real whiskey size glass, and add the word plastic to it, and put plastic on there. So to see if we get more of a unbreakable, so more of a specific competitor. Let's put in plastic.
Whiskey glasses. All right, here we go. Okay, so there's my ad showing up. So,
And
all
yeah,
right,
I think here are
I'm
some more of the,
showing up right there already.
and scroll down a little, look at those highly rated. Look at that.
Hey, look at that. Here's a video ad. Somebody.
These I think are more up the ladder as far as quality competitive. They're
Yep.
plastic, they're whiskey size, they've
Yep.
got good reviews. So I'd go after some of these. I'd just
Yeah.
stay away from the guys that are $15.
Exactly. So this guy, $36.
Yep, definitely go after that.
Go after that guy. We see that same one again, but again, he's too low on price, so it wouldn't make sense to go after him. All right, 15, 18, 24, 39. What's this one? Double stainless steel whiskey class system. Interesting. Yeah, we can go after them. If they're showing up on page 1, we'll go after them.
That's probably enough for now, just to at least build out the campaign.
Okay, good. So, good. So let's go here first, and let's do a new campaign. We'll do sponsored products.
And now we're going to be targeting not keywords, but ASINs.
Yep.
So we're going to be literally bidding on the competitors. So it's going to be its own campaign. It's going to be a product targeting campaign. We're going to put, you'll see we get down to targeting.
Let me copy this.
And it's manual.
That last one's
Yeah,
really
good.
interesting because he's showing up organically and he's not even a plastic wine glass on page 1.
So again, we're going to add our products in here. So we're showing our products against competitor products.
And now the targeting is going not to be keyword, it's now going to be ASIN product targeting.
Yep. And now they sometimes will show suggested ones, but we're going to do individual products. And then also you also have categories that you could go after, but we're going to start with products. This is definitely the better way to go with. We're going to enter our list.
And then boom,
now-
take the list, throw them in there.
Yep. So here we go. I'm going to grab the ASIN from up here. It's right after this little DP slash. I just grab it from up there, double click on it. It highlights the whole thing for me. So we'll just paste those in here. Let's grab the next one, double click, copy that.
And this is going to build out the product targeting. And then, of course, we're going to set a budget similar to bidding on keywords. We're going to set a budget on these. And we're not being overly aggressive here, like we're trying to rank. We're just creating a campaign to bid and snipe against the competitors. So we're going to go with a relatively safe bid that's a suggested bid.
Right. So here you can see 103. I just let this default from the campaign is in here, but we can go with, suggested bid here, 103. This one's 256, so we know that that's definitely a big competitor, but I'm willing to do that. And then 106. So those all make sense to me. Makes sense that I want to bid on those guys. I might want to bid a little bit higher on these as time goes on, but I'll want to see how they convert first. And if I get good conversions on them, I'll then increase my bid to be more and more aggressive on them, because I want to show up for this guy here. I want to show up either right here or, down here or whatever. I want to be bidding against this guy, so I steal traffic from him. So we'll go back down to here. We've added those 3 products, suggested bid, and we'll just do launch campaign. So that's the 4 basic strategies that you have. And then of course the 5th point there is the ranking point, and that ranking point is what ties the whole trifecta together.
Good. So then, do we have any questions that we want to hit before we wrap this bad boy up? Because I know that we told everyone in part 1 we're going to try and keep this all to 1 hour. So we are going to try and do that. But any questions?
Yeah, we've got one question left here from Peter. If you are doing top of search bid adjustments. I should unmute myself.
And also, why don't you switch over to them since... Yeah.
Yes, let's show them. So Peter asks, if you are doing top of search bid adjustments, you'd want to only have one exact match keyword per campaign, correct?
Top of search
bid adjustments.
Bid adjustments. You're basically for like a headline ad.
Read it again.
Yeah, read
Sure.
it again.
If you are doing top of search bid adjustments, you'd want to only have one exact match keyword per campaign, correct?
Right. So,
Okay.
and well, yes, if you're bidding on one keyword in a campaign and you're ranking for that, yes, if you want to go after additional keywords, you can, but we advise putting them into a new ad group inside of that rank campaign.
Excellent.
Good. Yeah, we've got probably like 30 seconds of, probably wrap up. If there's any more to that last question, definitely let us know before we end off, because we want to make sure to get that totally clarified for you. But otherwise, if you kind of go back to 3 weeks ago when we started doing Ranking Bootcamp Part 1. So we've obviously been diving into a lot of content here. We're talking about what are the keywords you should be going after in your listing, what are the keywords you should be going after when you're advertising, depending on what size you are. There's a lot of content here. So if any of this stuff feels a little over your head, go back, check out the other two boot camps. They're both up on YouTube. So if you go youtube.com, go manage by stats. One of them I'm pretty sure is already on as the video you see at the beginning. If it's not there, go to the video tab. So you've got home, then video. Go to video, and you'll see part 1 and part 2. So those will definitely, give you a little bit more if this is the first one of these ranking boot camps you're seeing. Otherwise, the fact of the matter is, we do have another question, or is it a clarification?
It's another question.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, we
want
to hit as many questions as possible. So I'll jump back, or at least try to jump back to right where I was. So yeah, right over there.
Okay, good. Howard asks, we are launching a product that is essentially a variation of our best-selling product. It's a new separate listing. In addition to everything you've discussed, would you do anything differently to rank this new product?
So it's a different variation.
But a new listing. Well, so the only thing that would help you on that regard is what keywords you're already ranking for on your other variation. So you would have a little bit of history there already built in. So if you had done the trifecta points on that earlier variation and you had those keywords built into that listing, you were duplicating the listing and making it a green color or a whatever variation, you'd take those same keywords, put them into the keyword tracker for the new listing. If it's a child parent, it's going to be kind of getting that ranking from the other child. So you're already going to have a little bit of a benefit there. You have the reviews, you have the ranking that's connected with that parent listing. So it would make sense to look at your ranking for that other listing and go, okay, good, what keywords should I push on? And you can probably tie in those keywords very easily to that new listing and get some good.
But what was his actual question? Is he's just creating a new listing, and is he just creating a new listing and wanted to know if he should use the same keywords, or what was his specific concern
there?
Sure. So he's asking, this is a new separate listing. Okay, it's essentially a variation on the best-selling product, but a new listing. Would you do anything differently to rank this new product? That is the question.
Anything
other than what
differently?
You've already covered.
No. In fact, you've got an advantage because with every campaign in Amazon, there's always a learning period. Because it's a new ASIN, there's going to be a little bit of that honeymoon period where Amazon rotates products into listings to see can they perform and see if they've got any legs. So when it gets rotated into a new position, it should be stepping forward with the best of the best keywords. So if you go in and do a search term report, you've already got your best converting search terms and all your match types, and you've got a roadmap already there. So you would just replicate that from the get-go, and you should be getting quite a jump, and it should rank faster than it took the original product to rank.
Right, because you get a little bit of love from Amazon in that honeymoon period. Well, they will give you some organic rank for a bunch of the keywords that actually make sense for your listing, and that's why the earlier steps of the trifecta make sense, where you want to make sure you have those keywords in your listing. You make sure the listing is fully optimized before you launch it. And then you get a little bit of good pop on the ranking, and then that just helps out your keyword campaigns that you decide to go after and the ranking campaigns that you decide to go after. One thing that I did want to say or show is if you do have questions, or you're not sure if PPC Logic makes sense for you right now, or you're building up to it and you would like to have a conversation with us, we can definitely put in the chat a link where you can actually schedule basically an inquiry call with us, so we can look at your account with you, see if it makes sense for us to work with you on that, and we can kind of go through all the metrics with you.
Yeah, and also because I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be watching the recording, we'll put that same information in the description below. If you're seeing this from an email that we sent out, we will include the link to the scheduling board there as well. So you'll definitely have a number of
one
places to
caveat
sit
on
from.
that, guys, is that for those that have an interest, and we want to help everybody, and that's why we're running the boot camps and giving the training, but we would suggest that the criteria for being considered as a partner client of PPC Logic is you want to have at least a revenue in the $20,000 to $25,000 range. That way you're up, you're running, you know what you're doing, and then we could really, you'll really benefit the most with what we can offer. For everybody else, hopefully these boot camps will help you, and you could submit any questions you want. If you have revenue less than that maybe we could help guide you at least in the meantime.
Yep.
Yeah, so and we do want to, here's the thing, especially let's say you're sitting there and you are above that 25K per month range. And if you really like the strategies that Mark and Rob are going over here, do consider even just setting an appointment with us just to find out more, because even when they do those individual calls with you, even if you know you're not going to go forward with PPC Logic, they are still going to answer a question or two of yours.
Right.
So it gives us an opportunity to pitch it to you, but it also gives you an opportunity to get additional, more tailored questions, about your listing, about your advertising, really, to people who know the answers. But the whole idea here, yes, we want to help anyone who's a seller because, this is one of those communities that's unlike other communities where it is truly a community where most successful sellers seem to want to and enjoy giving back. So yes, the ranking boot camps are that, but then also it's a chance for you to get an idea of the kind of strategies, the kind of insights that we use when running PPC Logic, because you're hearing from two of the top staff that, including Rob, who he started this thing. He's the brainchild behind this thing. So you're getting an opportunity to get a peek under the hood. So if you like what you see, if you feel like you have more questions, if you feel like you have competitors out there who are outpacing you and you can't quite figure out why, it could be that they're doing something like this and that you really do need to up your PPC game. And if it's a matter of upping your PPC game more than just strategies, but also repetition of correct actions within that strategy, that's where something like what we do, where we're leveraging software, proprietary software, to make these changes faster than you can make them, that also gives you an edge.
And one other thing, Curtis, because a lot of people probably think that, well, why should they consider PPC Logic? We mean this from the heart. We believe that our efficiencies and what we do is so excellent, and that with our proprietary software, where we saw the problem, we've already walked this walk, went this path, and saw that without what we've developed, we couldn't function at an optimum level. So we believe that the efficiencies alone that we bring to the table will enhance their profits to the point where we kind of pay for ourselves. So our fees are tiered, and we design it so that within 60 to 90 days of being with our company, we actually exceed the profits they were originally making, so that it's as if we earn our own keep to go forward. Because we believe that doesn't make sense for somebody to pay us if we're not making them more profit. Right. So at the end of the day, we're bringing all those efficiencies to the table for those who wonder, like, well, wait a minute, how could I afford to do this? If you're already over 25,000 in gross revenue, I don't see how you're going to make pay-per-click work without the right help.
But he said one thing there, which is that it's kind of like, well, unless you're making more profit than you would see by hiring us. So like the cost to hire us, if we increase the profit to compensate, great, we cover our cost. But it's not that black and white, because think of it also this way. You're now not managing your PPC. You have, what were we talking about? We were talking about 3 hours per
3 or 4 hours.
ASIN.
Yeah.
What are you doing with that time now? Like, it has a cascading effect because it's not just strictly black and white PPC. Good, now you can go take that time, go build your off Amazon presence, or now you can work that much more on building your next products out. It really does have that effect of building on top of itself. So don't look at it just as like a dollar for dollar. Yes, it's awesome that the CEO over there is saying we will prove our worth dollar for dollar, because that makes the decision very easy for you. But also think of the second level consequence there, which is what are you doing now with that extra time?
Right.
Good.
Any other questions?
Do we have any other questions? I don't think so, right?
We are bueno.
We are good.
Awesome.
Very good. Okay, awesome. So then with that, again, we were fairly confident that you got a lot of value out of this. I had an example of someone, I'm going to see if while I'm talking here I can pull up this email. I didn't give my email on any of these ranking boot camps. My email isn't, exactly mysterious. I won't say it here, but this guy literally, he said he emailed like 5 different possible variations, and 2 of them made it through to my email. And he was emailing me about, he really wanted to get the ranking bootcamp number 2 and number 1 replay, and also was like, hey, when is number 3? But he was also saying some things. He's like, I definitely found the first session to be a gem of instructions long overdue. The thing is that we know you guys love this stuff, but we also can't always read your mind. So reach out to us at support, put comments in the videos, tell us the other things that you feel like you need help with, be them PPC related with PPC Logic, or be them some other area having to do with Amazon in general that, Managed by Stats would have some expertise to help you on. So we want to know what you want to know, okay? So reach out to us, let us know. Otherwise, no more questions that I'm seeing over there.
Yep.
We
We're
look
good.
like we're ready to go.
We're good.
We have finally reached the end of this 3-part now, probably close to 3.5, 4 hours of content in this ranking boot camp. I'm sure that you guys are going to ask us to do this again, and we will happily do this again, especially because PPC is an evolving topic.
Yep.
What works today as a ranking boot camp, it's not a guarantee that it's going to rank in or work to rank you in 6 months. So I'm sure we'll see you guys again on this one later. But in the meantime, check out our YouTube channel. Check out ppclogic.com or the link that Mark put in the description down there.
Yep.
We'll also throw the description in the YouTube video. Or check us out at managedbystats.com. And we would be happy to help you with anything you need. So with that, take care, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye,
Bye-bye, guys.